Yeah, so hello everyone. I am Ananta Narayan, Executive Member ECEL. I am Nagpur, and today we have Sairaj Dhond with us. Wakao Foods, the founder of Wakao Foods, the startup that was funded in Shark Tank at the valuation of 3.57 crore, which is clearly a huge amount. So let's hear from Sairaj himself, his story of how he started and the whole journey where he has come from and where he is right now. So, Sairaj, we welcome you. And
Thank you. Thank you, Anandita, for having me here.
yeah, thank you. So tell us something about your, tell us something about yourself first. That how it all started. Where do you belong from? What's your family background? All of it.
Thank you, guys. Nice to be here on your podcast. And I come from Goa. I live here. I'm an unadulterated Goan. I like calling myself that.
Nice.
I'm a lawyer by education. I studied law. I practiced law for a year, and then I didn't enjoy what I was doing. I thought entrepreneurship was my calling. So then I joined my family business. I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur. We have four businesses in Goa. We have different things happening. So I joined my family business. I lasted there for exactly 6 months. And then I started my first venture. And before Wakao happened, I did 3 other ventures. Wakao is my fourth venture. And the aim was always one, that was to make something in Goa, in India, and take it to the world. I didn't know what that product was or what it would be. And one day I came across one article which said, jackfruit, the superfood of the world. And I think that was my turning point. I realized as I went deeper into it, I started researching a little. I realized that this is not jackfruit, it's a jackpot. And there's so much that can be done with this, and no one was doing it in India. And I saw the opportunity right there. And we went hard on it, and it took some time. But in 10 months, we were from ideation to product, and the journey started there. And there were ups, there are downs. That's how startups work. But we've done pretty well for ourselves, I think, till now. But this is just the start. We're doing a lot more.
Business, you have a long chain of family business. So why not just work on it and put it to greater heights? Why just start something of your own?
So, firstly, I have another brother, an older brother who's already in the family business and who handles it well.
Okay.
For me, I'm a very impatient person, and I want to do too many things too fast. So I can't. And family businesses normally are very slow paced. They are very rarely you'll see very dynamic family businesses explode and grow really fast. So I join the family business. I was a part of it for a few months. I saw how things were, and I realized that sometimes you just need to get out of your comfort zone to create something which is world beating, and which can be scaled really big. So for me, it was always that I wanted to make something which would go to the world, which would be something different, which would be a great value add to the people that we supply. So my family business is in the tourism sphere, and it's running on its own. We have people running it, my brothers, they're my dad. So I didn't see too much of a role for myself in it. And my first venture was solars, actually, solar water heating, solar lighting. So I thought that was also very different, very path breaking. So I tried my hands at that. Then we did a lighting business. Then we did a real estate business, and then Wakao happened. So yes, so I'm also someone who does things on my own terms. I believe in taking the good as well as the brickbats for myself. Whenever something good happens, people praise, people say, like, now after Shark Tank and after things going well, people all praises. They have good things to say about you. But sometimes when it's not working really well, and I've seen those days too, you have to face the brickbat. But as an entrepreneur, you need to stand up every day and fight it. So I was ready for the long journey, the long haul. It's a 10-year journey. People think that, अरे ये Shark Tank हो गया, ये overnight superstar हो गया, people know you, business is doing well, things are happening. But no, it's not like that. It's a 10-year journey. It's been more than 10 years that I have been an entrepreneur trying to do different things. So it's always a journey.
Yeah. So when you started your venture, Wakao, So initially people must have thought of why jackfruit. How did you convince them? What was your idea of, acquiring your initial customers? We say that first 100 customers. How did you, what was your pitch to them?
So the initial thing was, they were also startled. No one had ever dreamt that things like burgers, teriyaki, barbecue jack, butter jack could be ever made from something like kathal. You're from Bihar, you'll know kathal, jackfruit. Like Bihar, even Goa and southern India knows all jackfruit. Like we've been eating this from our childhood. Everyone is, I feel 80% of India has consumed jackfruit sometime in their life in some form, either as a fruit, as chips, as a pulp, or as the seed, or as a sabzi. It's the most common. My grandmom used to keep feeding us things, calling it chikanachi bhaji, matlab chicken ki sabzi. So, my point was, when we started this company, we didn't start a mock meat brand. We started India's first jackfruit company. So when my positioning was also that, I was very clear that jackfruit is something that everyone is emotional about. From our part of the world, people feel jackfruit मेरे घर में बनता है, मेरे घर के पीछे उगता है, तो ये अपना product है, अपना fruit है. And when we told them that this could be made in so many different ways, they were astonished, and people were ready to try. People wanted to see what this is. This is new. This is something different. कभी सुना ही नहीं था. So that became our USP. And even when we launched, I had a very different strategy of launching. Normally people do word of mouth, and initial sales and so on. I went very hard with PR. I went very hard with bringing out the brand to India. So when people had heard obviously of, then it was like, oh, we've heard of this jackfruit brand. Jackfruit, na? Wakao. And again, the name was very catchy, and that whole thing happened. So we started with Goa. We started small. It's always very wise to start small. Start where your main base is, where your roots are. So what happens there? The first advantage is you have a lot of friends and family. So your first consumers are always your friends and family.
Yeah.
So they will be the first ones to try it out. So वो initial वहाँ से आपका जो आप बोल रहे हैं 100 customers वहाँ से बन जाते हैं. That's why it's always important to start where your roots are or where you are based. Absolutely. So at least your initial thing starts. You get that feedback, you get people coming, and then it's how you are in the game. You need to be right there with your ears very close to the ground. Understand what is the best route to market. How do I acquire my consumers? How do I acquire my customers? It's a tough, challenging job. A very close friend of mine who's like a mentor to me said, Sai, do you really want to build a brand? It is close to impossible to build a big brand out of nothing. It'll take years and years. And that's a fact of life. You can't build a brand overnight, right? Brands have taken years to be built. But me being me, I like challenges. I said, what is the worst thing? What is the downside? Nahi banega, band karenge, dusra kuch karenge. So, I'm that kind of a person. I've done 3 ventures. I don't have any qualms with stopping my 4th venture and trying another 5th one. Entrepreneurs never stop. They keep trying. So I said, let's give it a go, because one thing I knew was there was an opportunity. Very clear-cut opportunity I could see. That because, honestly, I didn't know much about veganism. I didn't know what pork meats were. And I mean, it sounds stupid when I say this, but I'm telling you, when I started the idea of this business, I didn't know what mock meats were. Living in Goa, being someone who I consider very internet friendly, social media friendly, techno friendly, I didn't know these concepts. So I'm sure there are a lot of more people also who wouldn't know of these concepts. My research told me that this is a crazy concept across the world. And that's when it came to me. I said, this is my product. I always had this thing, this fascination. कि कुछ तो बनाना है और पूरी दुनिया में लेके जाना है. But वो क्या था मालूम नहीं था. And then this happened, and suddenly I said, the world is talking about it. No one's ever done it in India. This is my opportunity. So that was that. So at the end of the day, an entrepreneur mind से तो काम करता ही है. But it is that gut. It is an instinct that tells you कि it's a punt. You have to take it. So that's how it all happened. There's no big logic behind it. This is how the whole thing started. And then you learn on the way. I didn't know any of these things. I didn't know what D2C was. I didn't know what performance marketing was. I didn't know what is a CAC, what is a CAG. All these terms, I didn't know any of them. You learn. As you do, you learn.
Yeah, obviously that is something that we, actually. So I would also want to ask, where did the name Wakao come from? How did
This is my most frequently asked question. Everyone asks me this because they love the name. That's right there behind us. Yes.
Very catchy, I must say.
Yeah. So
yeah.
a lot of credit. In fact, all the credit goes to my friend Manish Masi, who owns one agency, marketing agency, and he's a Delhiite who lives in Goa. And so one thing, before I tell you the story of the name, I'll tell you one thing very important that everyone should hear and should know. You need to be very clear of what you're good at. Okay, yes. As an entrepreneur. But what you need to have much more clarity about is what you're not good at.
Yes.
And what you're not good at, don't try doing it yourself. Get people who are really good at to do it. Because don't be egoistic. Don't be मैं सब करूँगा. It's your brand. Build a great brand rather than trying to build yourself. Yeah. So I got the best people to do certain things where I am not great at. So Manish did our branding, our entire packaging. He found out the name. So we were at a very scientific way of deriving a name. There were different pools of names that we were thinking about. We had Indianized names like Earthaza. We had Goan names. We had different. But my brief to him was very simple. I said, Manish, I want something very abstract. You can have an abstract name, but which may mean absolutely nothing. पर अगर वो एक बार कोई सुने ना भूलना नहीं चाहिए. Yeah. Simple brief. So there were like hundreds of names which were there, and out of that, one single name was Wakao. And imagine hearing Wakao for the first time in your life. Wakao, like no background to it. And now if you hear Wakao, you know कि okay, jackfruit brand है, ये है, Shark Tank पे है, तो कुछ तो है. तब तो कुछ नहीं था. I just kept saying that name again and again. I said, Wakao. I thought it had a ring to it. I liked it. It's like love at first sight, no, that kind of. So I said,
very catchy name. I really.
Yeah, so maybe I asked him. I said, so my family, my dad thought I was mad. He said, what name is this? Yeah, Wakao. What is? My sister thought it was a Chinese name. She panicked. She said, there's India-China war going on. No, you can't have a Chinese name. So I said, okay, I'll check with Manish. I asked Manish. I said, Manish, what does Wakao mean? So he said, it means nothing. Okay, it means nothing. And so he said, so he asked me a question. He said, what does Yahoo mean? I said, nothing. So he said, exactly. Wakao is just an expression of happiness. Like how you say Yahoo, Wakao. And then he sent me a small clip, which today has become like our anthem. That dun 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 Wakao, dun 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 Wakao. And I did a step on Shark Tank, and now people think it's my
yes.
It's become my hook step. Whichever college I go to, wherever everyone comes on stage and we do the Wakao step. It's called the Wakao step. So I don't know, some things just get stuck here, and this was one of the best things that happened to us. The name, people love the name, and it's worked well for us. Yeah. So this is the story behind the name.
Yeah. So coming to your Shark Tank journey, we have all, you have acquired that limelight because of Shark Tank and obviously because of your hard work that you have been doing. So what was your preparation before you came to Shark Tank? Was it easy? Was it tough? What was your, overall experience of Shark Tank?
So first I'll tell you, so Shark Tank happened by accident. I didn't know Shark Tank was happening. So we had one of our agencies, a performance marketing agency from Delhi, called so the founder his name is Varun Chopra. He's the company, is the name. So Varun one day on our weekly call, he said, yeah, Sairaj, Shark Tank India aa raha hai. And Shark Tank we've heard, we've all seen Shark Tank now. Yes. I said, yeah, wow. So he said, मैं तुझे WhatsApp पे फॉर्म भेज रहा हूँ, वो लिंक भेज रहा हूँ, फॉर्म भेज के भेजो और देखो ना क्या होता है. I said, ठीक है. And you won't believe it, I forgot about it. I said I'll fill it a little later, and the last day passed. And 7th was the last day. A colleague of mine said, "Sir, did you fill that form?" I said, "Shit, no." And it was 9th. But I said, me being me, I won't want, because I like to take chances. Yeah. See, that ad is to come, not Tata Sky ad. पूछने में क्या जाता है? Like, पूछ के देखो, ना बोलेगा. So I said, like, let me take a chance. I said, I missed the date, but let me send. So I filled a form. It was a 2-pager. I sent. And I got an email that it's accepted. And now that excitement started, First it was just like, okay, let's see what happens. Then there was a 5-pager that came, filled and sent. Then there was another one form came that was 18-pager. And that took my life. I took a lot of juice from my life out. It was an extensive form. We filled it and it ended with a pitch. Imagine doing a pitch, and now that pitch had to be done in Hindi. And each one of us is very, we can put our thoughts the best in one language, maximum 2 languages. And for me, that language is English. My mother tongue is Konkani. Hindi I speak, but I'm not like, I can't articulate my thoughts the best in Hindi. And here I had to do a pitch which had to be like the pitch of my life. I had to pitch to save my life. And I did that. We practiced whole day. It took me a day's time. I kept on pitching. Then I got selected. Then they called me for a personal interview round. I went to Bombay, did that personal interview. And then came that Shark Tank thing. So one thing, guys, there are a lot of things that I don't have, skill sets. But one thing that I have, or अच्छे क्वांटिटी में, इज कॉन्फिडेंस. तो आप मुझे अगर लेके ना नरेंद्र मोदी जी के सामने भी खड़े कर दोगे और बोलोगे कि चलो सायराज शुरू बात करो, मैं कर सकता हूँ. तो I don't have the stage fright or stage fear and all of those things, so that was one thing that worked for me. So a lot of people ask me, you look so confident on stage, you were so confident. A lot of the comments is that. But honestly, I didn't, it was like you asked me, what extra effort or preparation? Actually nothing. I just took a little effort in understanding my numbers better, because I'm not a finance guy. That is one thing that I'm not great at, and I acknowledge that, and I know that. That's why we have a CFO, we have a good finance team, because that's not my strength. So वो थोड़ा मुझे, क्योंकि उधर किसी को पूछ नहीं सकते ना, थोड़ा याद करके जाना पड़ेगा ठीक से. So that was something that I worked on. Other than, and honestly I'll tell you, I went there and that 3-minute pitch that was there, that changed my life. That pitch was written by Sony, by the way, the one which I spoke. So I had my pitch, which I told you all I did in Hindi and all. That was my pitch. And one day before I left for Bombay for the final shoot, Sony sent me a new pitch, and which was my pitch only, but they changed it a little, made it more a little dramatic, if you want to say, added a few more things. So it had that very good touch to it. But the base things were mine. They asked me for my pitch first, and then they used it. But they were doing that, they do that for everyone. So that, because they say that this is your first impression, on the sharks as well as the audience is watching. And today, if you remember, like, you will remember the 3 minutes pitch that I did. Uske baad jo baat kiya and all, no one remembers. But people were sold to me in those 3 minutes. And that pitch went on for 45 minutes. After those 3 minutes, it was like how we are talking right now. I had to sometimes remind myself, because there are 35 cameras. This is going to come on TV. Don't talk any rubbish. Sometimes you tend to get carried away and you say things which you're not supposed to say on camera. And so I had to remind myself, because it was superb. It was fun. I enjoyed it. And my colleagues and my wife and all were outside. They say that we were shit scared. What you going to answer? They've asked you this question. But for me, honestly, at that point of time, I had switched off from any of this fear. I said, what is the worst thing that can happen? It's my business. I have built it from day one. क्या पूछेंगे? मैं बोल दूंगा. नहीं आता है, नहीं ये बोलूंगा, पता नहीं बोलूंगा. So it was like that, But after I got out of that tank on 27th of January, it came on TV. Then my life changed. So I always say, I have a life pre-Shark Tank and I have a life post-Shark Tank. My life post-Shark Tank.
My next question was exactly what was your life post Shark Tank?
Crazy. As a child, you always dream of people clicking selfies with you, signing autographs, people recognizing you here, there. It became crazy. So even today, it's been a year since it has happened, but still today, people click selfies when I go to airports. I get messages just from random people saying they're really inspired by what we are doing, by what we are building, and they love the page, the confidence. So it was nice. Personally, this is what, but I'm not a kind of a person who gets stuck to all of this. It doesn't matter to me. it is nice. I will be hypocrite if I say that कि मुझे पसंद नहीं आया. 100% पसंद आया. Everyone loves all this adulation and that people look at you and they talk to you and they click pictures. Everyone loves it, but that ended there. It ended in 10 days. After that, I was again in another mode to get the things right, because इतने orders आए थे, machinery breakdown हो गया, सारा लग गई थी हमारी. So it was a whole different problem happening all over. So yeah, that happened. But business-wise, it was crazy. Our sales increased 10x. People across India. I was in New York a month and a half ago. People in New York recognized me. I was stunned. My friend was with me there. He said, "Boss, what is this happening in India? I can't understand." In New York, people in a queue, we were standing. Someone came behind me and said, "Boss, Sairaj Dhond." And he started telling me what I said on the show. So it is like that, So the power of the medium is something that I realized, that the viewership is tremendous. There are millions who have seen us, who have watched us. Our brand got that recognition. Investor calling increased, export inquiries increased. Suddenly the game changed for us. So it was life changing, and I can always be only grateful to Shark Tank.
Yeah. So in Shark Tank, we saw that there were 4 investors who were ready to, fund for Wakao.
Yeah.
So what was your rationale behind, choosing the best one, and how did you approach the whole scenario?
So honestly, you sometimes can't think only over there. This all went on for 15 minutes. You remember that part where I walked out and I went to think?
Yes, I do.
I walked out, and as I was walking, I'm thinking, yeah, what to think I'm thinking? Like, how do I even try to rationalize what they're trying to say? How do I process it? And I'm trying to talk to myself, what do I do? And when that door opened, from front, there were like 5 people who came running towards me with cameras and with everything. And they were literally near my nose, near my head, everyone with cameras. You can't see that. You can't see that as a viewer, but they are all on my face. Yeah. And suddenly I lost every thought that I had in my mind. I went blank looking at all of this guy. I'm like, what is happening? And shit, and I was like, oh shit, this is going to come on TV. Look proper, don't look like an idiot. There are million thoughts, and I only went out and I cut the deal into half. Nothing else. Honestly, there was no thought. I didn't think. I only thought that I had said 5%, they said 30%. 5 kidhar hai, 30 kidhar hai. So I said, if I say 10 or 7, they might feel bad and they'll say that nahi, deal hi nahi. I wanted the deal.
Made it to 15.
I said, the rationale is that make it half. We go with 15. So मैंने 30 का 15 कर दिया. और कुछ नहीं calculation नहीं, कुछ rationale नहीं. और this is the first time I'm saying this. Honestly, there was no other thought. I went out and I said, please give me 15% you take. And then so but one fact that happened, and I realized after that, when I was reading my comments on my post, that the video that Shark Tank put out, Sony put out, has like 4 million views. उसपे comments 1000-2000 comments है. So you like to read about yourself now, what random people are just talking. तो कभी-कभी रात को सोने से पहले मैं ऐसे पढ़ता रहता हूँ, क्या बोल रहे हैं, कोई ये बोल रहा है, कोई वो बोल रहा है. So someone said that ये पागल है, इसने पीयूष का ऑफर नहीं लिया. पीयूष ने 15% पे देने वाला था, वही 75 lakhs. कब हुआ? मुझे फिर मेरे दोस्त ने बोला, हाँ पीयूष ने तुझे 15% में बोला था 75. नहीं, ये नहीं हुआ. Say, हो गया, हुआ थे. And I went back and I saw the video properly, slowly again. And shit man, Piyush had said, I'll give you, अगर मैंने ये offer match किया तो आप मेरे साथ आओगे? And I said no. I didn't realize it. तो वहाँ पे I didn't realize only कि उसने वो offer बोला था. So it's like that. Everything happens so fast, so quickly.
Do you regret that you?
I don't regret. Honestly, I don't.
And and currently, how is it working with all of them?
So another thing, I don't know if you know this, but I didn't take that deal.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I came out and I didn't take the deal.
But why?
After coming out, I realized that it was too much equity and it was not a fair deal. For more than me, for my company, it's at the end of the day, I thought it was not something that the company would. So I went back to them. I renegotiated. I gave them another offer. I requested them to reduce the equity that they were asking for, but they were not ready for it. And I said, okay, thank you, no problem. But we still continue to be very good friends. Like Aman was not on my show, but Aman is a very good friend. I meet them very often. Nice people, yeah. I meet Vinita very often. I've met Namita. Ghazal I've not met, unfortunately, but I met her husband, Varun. Very nice people. Yeah. All of them are like normal people like you and me. In the last 6 years, they have built ventures which have grown really well.
The whole show is like, it really reflects their personality and it's very nice.
It does. They're the same people even outside. They're same people. Like I met Namita twice. She's such a lovely human being. I'm telling you, she's such a nice person. Aman is such a cool guy. Like even if you meet him now, he'll just have a normal conversation. Just a show.
So what is your vision of Wakao currently? What do you see Wakao in next 10 years or 5 years or anything that you have visioned as of now?
So I'll tell you one thing. For me, very simple. Yeah, this vision is very simple. It is to make Wakao India's brand. So I want Wakao to be synonymous with jackfruit and with healthy products and tasty products and good products for your body and for the world. I love a brand called Tata, and I want Wakao to be like Tata. That is India's brand. You feel very nice when you think of Tata. So we want to take this brand to every country in the world. It has to be a proud Indian brand sitting in the shelves in different countries. I want to make this one of India's biggest brands also when it comes to collaborations and having it in different stores. I also want to have our own QSR, which I'm very passionate about, but I haven't started work on it yet because there's just too much happening. So it's going to be called Wakao Eats, and that's something that we want to work on and do. So a lot on our plate, a lot to do. We are going step by step, one step at a time. Retail is a very difficult game. It's a game where you need deep pockets. So we are approaching retail in a very strategic way. We're going to be listed on Big Basket across India, Cred, Swiggy, Instamart, hopefully Blinkit, and a few other platforms across. We are on Amazon. We do pretty well on Amazon. So yeah, that's the idea. And in the next 6 months, at least another 4-5 countries.
Nice. Great. Nice.
So that gives me the biggest high. Whenever I get a PO from a new country, that's like a high all over again. Yesterday was a very high day for me. I was very high because we got a PO from Singapore. That was the first.
How do you celebrate it?
I just celebrated by congratulating the team, telling my people at home, order aaya, finally. And I just, now that celebration thing, as over the top celebrations don't happen. And because I know this is temporary, we need to work hard. We need to get the next PO. First PO is not something great. It is great in the sense you've cracked a deal. It takes time to crack in exports. It's a long process. It takes months. But the proof in the pudding is when you get a repeat order.
Yeah.
Because we are a consumer brand. We are a food brand. A repeat order says that they've liked your taste. They've liked your product. So when we get a repeat, and when it's like the third or fourth repeat, that's when I celebrate. Nice. Till then I'm happy, but no big celebrations.
So we'll conclude the podcast now, and one of the final questions would be: what advice would you want to give to your coming up entrepreneurs or people who are actually?
So I'm not a preachy guy, but I just tell things from my experience. So whenever I say something or tell something, is either I have done it in my life, I've gone through it, or I've heard some very smart guy talk about it, and then I use it again in what I'm saying because I've liked it so much. So 2 things that an entrepreneur should always never forget. One is perseverance. You have to keep trying. You just have to keep trying. For an entrepreneur, yesterday was a very high day, tomorrow may be my lowest day.
Yeah.
And that's happened, okay? So we got the US order, huge container load, big amount. And 15 days later, we were in deep shit with regards to some other kind of thing, which is stressful. So you have to keep persevering. Don't stop. There is no failure. No one fails. When you stop trying, you fail. You have to keep on getting up and keep trying and keep pushing. So that's the first thing. And the second is that fire in the belly, passion. Never let it die. The day the fire in the belly dies, it is infectious. If you have fire in your belly, your team will have that fire in the belly. Everyone working with you will feel that whole infectious energy. कि यार कुछ करना है, ये करना है, वो करना है. If you are a dull person who's lost that mojo, then you sleep at home. Then you can't be an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur has to be ruthless in that sense. And there'll be a lot of days when, see, an entrepreneur journey is very lonely. You would have heard many people saying this, but that's a fact. It's a lonely journey. No one understands you. No one can understand what's going on in your head, you know. Sometimes I'm just driving and someone who's with me, my wife is with me, she's talking and like, you're not even listening to what I'm saying. And I'm like, yeah, but you know, you can't even explain what's happening because you only don't know what's happening. You're like thinking so many things, Singapore export, Dubai export, that manufacturing this. It's like, you know, those clouds they show, no? It's like that. So don't worry. This is a process, and no one becomes big overnight. So don't have those false dreams. You can become big overnight only in two ways. If you loot a bank or you win a lottery. There's no organic way of becoming big overnight. So it's a journey, it's a process. And the most important thing, don't compare your journey with someone else's. Don't say कि अरे उसका क्या इतना जल्दी 2 साल में वो यूनिकॉर्न बना, वो 6 महीने में बना, वो 10 साल. Don't do that because each one's journey is different. Now after Shark Tank, sales that have happened with us are not the same which have happened with a lot of other brands. Some brands have really scaled so well. We haven't to that extent because we were doing a lot of R&D, we were doing different things. My circumstances were different. So don't compare. You've gained a lot out of it. You use it in your way and do it. So your journey will be different. 100% will be different. Be a part of your journey. Believe in yourself. Be perseverant and never lose the fire in your belly.
So with that, we would end the podcast, Sairaj.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll pause the recording. Thank you so much for